What you want some no? What's up, y'all? What's up? How y'all doing? Good.
To be honest, I ain't even really feeling good.
Dang, what's wrong with you?
Bruh, this is an apartment complex called Lake Arbor on the west side. They're evicting the people there and making new luxury homes and kicking them out on the streets.
Oh, wow.
I'm saying, man, that's crazy.
But really, if they're kicking people out on the streets, but have you not heard about the Amazon has been burning for 3 weeks?
Okay, my people are on the streets, starving, they're homeless, they're cold.
Yeah, but 20% of our oxygen won't be here, so there won't be no people.
Man, you heard this thing?
Yeah.
It was tripping, man. They thought climate change more important than what's going on in our communities.
Hey, I'd be like,
neither one of them know what they be talking about, Josh or Mason.
Mason just be running off the mouth. He just be want to follow Josh. Okay, so let's stop this here, because I see y'all about to go on and on. What do y'all think? Who's right? I mean, I just asked them how their weekend was. I wasn't expecting a big blowout.
I just get here to do my job, and then I hear a bunch of yelling about climate change.
Yeah, I don't even know what climate change is.
Me
Do you?
Climate change, that's a long conversation. Do we have all day?
Climate, if you look up the definition of it, it means the condition of. It allows us to talk about the condition of the land, the air, the water, and the people.
The changes and the patterns that happens across our globe.
Climate change is an updated version of the old idea of global warming. We know that the planet's getting hotter. Climate change is really based on models that talk about how water, which is the most fluid part of our planet, is affected by that increase in heat.
A lot of folks confuse weather with climate change. We're having weather today. It's raining, possibly, cloudy right now. That's weather. But when you look at the impact of climate change, you're looking at a long-term effect.
That affects where people can plant, how people can live, how strong storms are, a number of other things. So climate change is an overall model for how we think the Earth is going to respond to increased heat.
I don't care what y'all saying, bro. You great.
You great? What? You know what I'm just talking about. What?
I mean, I heard some yelling, I heard some argument, and I just came to see what was going on.
To be honest, that whole climate justice, you know what I'm saying, it's crazy and all, but I stay in Charlotte. I got nothing to do with me. I ain't no Antarctica, the polar bears and stuff. We don't live in the rain.
Oh, okay.
Just dumb. Dumb.
Like,
I can't even do it.
Dumb.
Just dumb. Because some of the stuff he be saying, I'll be like, but it's okay, just dumb.
Like, climate change affects everybody.
Have you not heard about the last two hurricanes in the last 3 years? 3 years? I didn't know a hurricane's supposed to come like that. Did you not hear about it? I'm pretty sure you did, because you live in North Carolina. It hit us. I'm pretty sure that your lights was out, because mine was.
Well, let me just say, we were used to hurricanes. I grew up as a hurricane kid, and we loved getting 3 to 5 days out of school because of hurricane. But they weren't life-threatening in the way that they are now. So here in Robinson, where we had Matthew, which was our area was the largest hit area in the country with Matthew. We had more destruction and devastation than anywhere else. That was like a wake-up call. And it was considered at first a 100-year storm, and then it got changed to a 500-year storm, and then it was ultimately determined to be a 1,000-year storm, which meant we weren't supposed to have another one in 1,000 years of that magnitude. Well, Florence came 2 years later.
Hurricane Florence has now been deemed one of the nation's worst rainstorms. A government meteorologist analysis shows that the rainfall totals from 4 days of Florence made the storm the second rainiest in 70 years. Only Hurricane Harvey was worse.
That could have been much worse. 9 miles up the road from my house, the town of Chicopin was just about underwater.
How you doing, sir? Turn to me. We done been through Bertha, Fran, Irene, Matthew, and this is the worst it's ever been in this part right here.
We had flooding inland from Lumberton in the rural areas that had never happened before. The town of Pembroke flooded. Not just some places, but the town itself got flooded.
All my stuff, man.
I work in an area that was flooded really bad, and just driving down there is heartbreaking and kind of scary because there's no life down there anymore. And in the little ponds, there's so much debris from the hurricane still to this day. It's honestly sad. I can't even be disgusted with the pollution. It's just sadness because so many people had to pick up their lives and move, and some of them were my classmates and former classmates.
Storms are not North Carolina's issue, poverty is. And so when you're looking at a county like Robeson, which is a Tier 1 county, so many of the folks who were impacted and who have not gotten mitigation for the destruction that occurred fell below the poverty level. And so you have some people still living in cars, in RV trailers, moving in with families, many dislocated who left.
So what's now? You done came on our side now? You done got your understanding right? You done got it? What's up?
You know, I still feel like, I know it's sad in other communities, they drowning and stuff like that, but I'm in Charlotte. We stay in high buildings and like, you know what I'm saying?
Seriously. Is he serious? I know he's not. I know I'm not tripping.
My house never flooded.
Who is he?
Your house flooded before?
Never.
I don't be swimming in the street.
Never.
You don't be swimming in the street.
Still loud, going and going. Is it that serious? It's not. I feel like it wasn't.
You don't get it. Climate change is affecting the planet, the earth. Where we live, Charlotte is part of that. You think we just staying in outer space?
It's not affecting my earth, so I can't.
In urban centers, it affects the amount of water that's going through a city, and that can greatly affect things like flooding in areas because cities don't drain water away the way that ground does. When there's a lot of cement, a lot of roads, those things don't absorb water the way that fields and forests do.
Definitely fossil fuels from the plants and car emissions, and tall buildings and parking lots and things like that mess up the natural wind flow. So pollen and pollutants can actually sit on the city for a day or two, like clouds of pollen can sit on the city just because the wind is not naturally blowing through in the area. So
we see that with the uptick of these adverse weather events, these hurricanes, these storms, which causes people in rural areas to lose land and real estate. And they need a place to live, they need a place to go. So people come further inland or come to urban areas, and it causes fighting over resources, room and land and that kind of thing.
If you look at it this way, it looks like people are moving to Charlotte in high numbers. They're coming for opportunities, and Charlotte is touting its growth.
Did you know this figure? More than 42 people every day are moving into Charlotte.
In fact, a new study ranks Charlotte as the 5th fastest growing city in the country. That is according to the Mecklenburg County Pulse report. And the job market, it is exploding.
However, if we dig a little deeper, I wonder what those numbers look like of people who actually had to flee their communities because they could not rebuild.
First up, when it comes to population growth, take a look. Charlotte, one of the biggest in the country, following Seattle, Austin, Denver, and Fort Worth. Since 2010 to 2017, a population growth of 16.3%. Just to give you some idea, that's 120,535 people.
What's happening is people are moving into Charlotte and these urban centers of areas across the U.S. They're moving there because they're being displaced by a changing climate, by stronger storms. They're being displaced from their homes. They can't rebuild, or they're finding better opportunities. They're also considered climate refugees as well.
It took a minute, and I don't even know if they understand this, but I can see how they're connected.
Do you get it? Do you finally get it? It affects everything. It affects urban, rural. It affects Charlotte. We are Charlotte. Do you
understand, man. People out here getting killed every day. Who is my color? Is climate change pulling us over, killing us, kicking us out of our communities? Is they doing it? Huh?
Ooh, Chili. Joshua's getting
Josh
so
is mad.
upset. He's getting real
Cool down.
Where's Kalia?
Oof, got a little hot in here.
Hey, bro, you good?
Woo! Man, Constance just crazy, man. I don't know what to do. She just had me on that level like I ain't want to be at, but I just had to get it there.
What? Did he just yell at you? Yell at me?
Did you just let him yell at you like that?
What?
I don't care if he had a point. He's not about to yell at me like that.
I know, but I mean, I guess his point was right. He had a lot of.
I don't care.
You don't get it. Climate change isn't killing us. It's the people out there who's locking us up in maximum security prisons. It's not climate change.
Josh made some good points. The climate can't kill you, it can't shoot you, and it can't arrest you, but the climate can help people who are doing those things.
People who are people of color, low income people, and very much so students are what we call frontline communities, which mean that they disproportionately deal with the impacts of climate change more than other people and other groups do.
Well, people of color, especially in the United States of America, have already been affected by systemic racism for generations, dating all the way back to slavery. So as communities of color have come out of slavery, they've been affected by Jim Crow laws, by oppression, by redlining, by over-policing.
Hold on. Don't touch him, please. The girl came over, gave us a bag of baby shit.
When you look at the story of Eric Garner, not only was he affected by the harms of police brutality, he was also impacted by not actually being able to breathe the air because the air quality in his community was really terrible.
Put your hand behind your back. I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
And he suffered from respiratory issues, as well as his daughter, who unfortunately met her death in an untimely nature. So we have to understand that we can't only talk about the social justice issues or the only things that are in our face. We have to integrate it together because we have people in our communities that cannot breathe the air, they can't drink the water, they can't even live on their land.
Well, I guess Josh Mason was actually making a point then. I really didn't think about it like that.
It's like I don't even know. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't even know there's like a link between it.
I really didn't.
So we know about police brutality and housing discrimination because we're here in Charlotte in an urban city. But one other injustice we don't talk about often is environmental injustice.
So they went from talking about racism to climate change to environmental justice. I don't even know what environmental justice is.
At least they're not being loud no more. I put in my AirPods and I could still hear them.
I have never heard of that.
Yeah, what is environmental injustice?
We will not allow Warren County to become a dump site.
The State Highway Patrol began moving in on the marchers as they approached the entrance to the state landfill. The signs and chants of the protesters made clear their opposition to having the toxic chemical buried in their county.
Using the environment to discriminate against folks based on their skin color and their economics, their income brackets. It causes things like health problems, cancers and breathing problems, physical ailments, depression, loss of land, loss of resources.
Many of the marchers then sat in the road, and the patrol began arresting them and placing them on a jail bus. State officials said they had no choice but to make the arrests if they were going to move the people out of the way and get the trucks in here.
Lots of people think about climate change in reference to just our planet, whereas climate justice and environmental justice really focuses in on the communities and how the climate crisis impacts those communities.
So I'm starting to see Clean and Constance have a point, I guess, that, you know, racial injustice and climate injustice go hand in hand. So why are we just now hearing about this?
Yeah, like really, I never heard about this before.
Me either.
Like, I don't even know.
What is this? Like what?
So Kalia, why are people of color doing anything about this?
Yeah.
Tell us.
For real.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Black people fighting for the environment?
I can't say that I have.
I've only seen white people.
That's a good question, but I have a question for you all. Just because you're just now learning about it, does that mean that nobody's doing anything?
Good one.
Black people have always cared about their environment and their climate, and it's out of survival mode. It's out of we're just gonna reuse this. How many people you know got that country crock container at grandma's house? My granny, she actually put soup in hers.
I remember doing, just as a young person, was just being very sustainable in my own house before it was cool. Like we reuse like glass jars. If I have jelly out of a jar, I'm gonna wash that jar and reuse it, right? There's always a bag in your house with other plastic bags. We don't throw those things away.
It doesn't look like us going to the store to purchase Ziploc containers every time or Tupperware containers. No, we reuse what we got. And that comes out of, again, a survival way of living.
North Carolina has the largest Native population east of the Mississippi. And there has been a number of campaigns where we have challenged decisions that were being made for our community. We had a series of times when we were being targeted for toxic waste facilities, radioactive waste incinerators. So we have a history here in the county that goes back over 40 years of organizing against those attempts to locate environmental degradation businesses in our community.
Wow, I really didn't get that in the beginning. If you don't add people of color to the solution of climate crisis, you really are kind of making the situation worse. I didn't get that in the beginning.
Yeah, I feel you. So, yeah, I think you should really start incorporating climate change into racial justice work, because it has really a lot to do with what's going on in Black communities, and it's really affecting us more than I initially thought when we first started this conversation.
I guess I do get it. I didn't even look at it like that. Racial justice and climate change together, working.
Some of the things that we can do on an individual level are making sure that we lower our own consumption. In the United States of America, we live in a capitalist consumer culture. So our economy is really driven by consuming of different things.
Here we go. This is taking packaging to a new level.
The problem with that is that many of these things are overpackaged. So you get a new phone or something and it comes in a box, and then it's inside of a plastic thing, and then every little component of it has its own little plastic bag. That's overconsumption of plastics. And those things wind up in our landfills and in our water supply.
And what could be so precious in here? Ah, nesting boxes for nesting bowls. Now that makes sense.
One of the greatest solutions is being able to go out and use your voice and being involved in political processes.
Paying attention to where your money goes, and spending money with businesses or entities who are aware of these issues and are actually trying to move and work in a sustainable way.
We are not even old enough to vote. What can we do?
I don't even have any money.
Youth are critical. I really don't like when it says youth are our future. Youth are now.
We're at an old decommissioned prison in Wagram.
and we're trying to turn this place into a more positive icon for the community. Something that can provide jobs and food and shelter for those in need in the community. This is what I was talking about before, where we're going to be doing the air raid static compost event system. We reversed the hatchback up there to where it's going to be bringing in air from the outside. And that hole right there, we're going to have air pumping through that and going into the bottom. And there's going to be a box right there. And we're going to be taking food scraps and dead plant materials and stuff. And we're going to be composting that.
There's currently 300 decommissioned prisons in the nation. So this is a template for if anyone else wants to reclaim a prison. This is our template for it.
They did all that arguing just to realize they're both right.
Well, I guess they was right. I guess. I don't want to hype their head up too much, but I guess they was right.
Constance was loud and annoying. So, but I guess at the end of the day, it's all for a greater cause. So that means working together and seeing their side of the story then. I guess that's just what we're going to have to do.
I know Kalia's probably in there smirking, making that face because she knows she's always right.
All in a day's work.
Hello, my name is Nikisha Glover. I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina, and I am the founder and executive director for Soul Nation.
My name is Donna Chavis, and I am the senior fossil fuels campaigner for Friends of the Earth, as well as founder of the Red Tail Hawk Collective.
My name is Io Wilson. I am the administrative co-director of the North Carolina Environmental Justice Network.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Eisen. I'm a youth climate justice organizer in North Carolina. I work for an organization called NC Warn, and we focus on energy and climate justice organizing.
Hi, my name is Luis Rodriguez. I'm an organizing representative with the Sierra Club's Beyond Coal campaign.
My name is Jeremy Goldsby. I'm 17 years old. I'm from Eastern North Carolina, Pink Hill, North Carolina, to be more specific.
My name is John Harvey. I am a field organizer for Climate Action North Carolina. We're an environmental nonprofit here in Charlotte.
Hey, what happened? They're making me
Skit
laugh.
3, take 2, action.
Hold on, I wasn't ready.
You don't obviously know.
Climate have no community if it ain't no planet.
Thank you.